In the end, to keep the spirit up and to create an atmosphere and also a learning atmosphere tonight. When you drive home and you know you have the 3 points, everybody is more open for improvement and for the next steps, because we have to do next steps. We are not on our top level yet, and wins help like nothing else to increase the level of performance.
I thought we played well. It's a tough game, tough opponent, really good squad. I thought the penalty was the only difference in the teams. I think probably 3 or 4 chances we'll look back on ourselves and say we've got to do better, and in really good positions. And if you put one of them away, you come away with a draw. 2 of them, you might win it. But when you don't have that absolute 9, that clinical kind of finisher, then of course there are a couple of opportunities. I look back and I go, I think someone with that killer instinct centrally that's in the box a lot, we'll take those chances, but we have to find a way at the minute, and of course we're looking at it recruitment-wise. We want to have a couple more options, and we're all working in that direction.
Well, Thomas, this has not been a kind ground to Chelsea in the last few seasons. How satisfied are you to have come through that?
Yeah, it's like you said, we struggled last seasons to get points here. We have the points. A win is a win. It's the most important for everything. Also to get better, because we have to get better.
Okay, so I was going to say, you say a win's a win. Does that tell us the performance wasn't everything you hoped it would be?
No, but I could assume that in that we maybe are not on a highest level. We have players in, but they came in late. Pre-season was kind of a bit of turbulent. The last week in training was very promising. In some situations through the first half was quite good. Then second half I think we had simply not enough movement on the ball, and with less movement, more ball losses. And it was a bit of strange second half without a rhythm for no team and interruptions, and in the end 10 minutes extra time, a bit strange. But we hang in, and we did what was necessary to keep a clean sheet, so there are positive things, and from there we go.
So in a way, is it a classic first game of the season, just a little bit rusty?
Yeah, for us, yes, and very classic that we win 1-0 with a penalty from Jorginho, also very classic. Like I said, we know we need to get better, but this first of all, a win helps the most to be open for improvement and for the atmosphere and the spirit, and this is where we go, and from where we build the next step.
New signings today. Sterling looked sharp first half, and
yes.
Koulibaly okay?
Koulibaly, and then we struggled with physicality, because Kouli is still a bit late and came late and lacks a bit of training. Raheem was very strong, struggled also physically in the end, and very happy with the 20 minutes from Cucurella. Was very strong and very important for us.
Koulibaly came off. Was that just cramp?
Yeah, cramps and yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, you're linked with players in almost every area of the pitch. Well, you are linked with players in every area of the pitch. Yeah. You've talked about being a team in transition. Yeah. Are you looking to add?
Yeah,
defender, midfielder, striker.
Yeah, if we can add, we add. Maybe not necessarily midfielders as a first option, but we're open for everything, and I think we can use new energy and new legs and fresh input to bring us to a new level. If not, then we will push this team, but I think we could use some more input and some more quality. We're on it, but we will not tell you.
I thought you wouldn't. What does today tell you about what you might be able to achieve this season? I listened to your press comments on Friday, and you almost don't seem sure yourself.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself. That's why I don't want to put pressure on us, and I don't want to, and at the same time, I don't want to lower our expectations. But giving the performance today and the quality of the match today, we do what we should do, I think. Like, dig in, keep quiet, stay humble, analyze this game. There's a lot of things to improve, and we have a whole weekend. And the next week we'll have one headline. This is Tottenham.
Well done.
Good, thanks.
Bye.
Well, it brings us exactly to your analysis, Alan, because you were going to... Everton really looked like a team without a striker, which is exactly what they are at present with Calvert-Lewin being
even with Calvert-Lewin and Rondon, they still need a forward in there. Of course, they didn't have either of them today. They're not going to have Calvert-Lewin for a while, and it was plainly obvious today their problem. I mean, there's no blame at all to Anthony Gordon, because he's trying to do his team a favour by being in there. But this is an amazing ball in there, and that should be in the back of the net. And a centre forward, as Frank said, a number 9, I'm pretty sure that would be in there because he just doesn't really want to head it. Takes his eye off the ball. Similar sort of thing here. Another very good ball in. This time he gets on the end of it, but it's, as I said, you can't really attach any blame to him at all. They're looking for a focal point here. They're looking for that centre-forward look. Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, not really having to do anything. No one running in behind. And that's eventually what happens when you haven't got that target to hit. Second half, similar thing. Dele Alli comes on, long, hopeful ball up to him, and he's not going to really do anything with that. So they've got to give Frank Lampard a chance and bring a centre forward in. Otherwise, I'd really be concerned for Everton.
As for Chelsea, Ian, I mean, they're spending big, aren't they? They're having a go. I mean, it wasn't a great game today, was it? It was a bit scrappy. Yeah. But they got new players in, and they'll be happy with the 3 points. But, you know, they're splashing out, aren't they?
Well, I think they're going to have to, especially when you look at what City are doing, what Liverpool, how strong Liverpool are.
Can they close the gap on those two?
I think they're going to have to spend more. I think they're going to have to spend more. I think the signing of Sterling's a fantastic signing. Cucurella may have cost more than they would have wanted to spend, but he's somebody that was sought after by City as well. I think he's a very, very good. He's a quality player. Chukwuemeka is one for the future. Koulibaly will come and do it, but they're going to need to spend more, Chelsea, without a doubt.
I think they've made some very good signings, but I'm speaking to centre forwards for Everton. There's no doubt Chelsea need that forward as well. I know they got Brozier, but it might take time for him.
Well,
in the meantime,
they've
lost Lukaku. They need a centre forward in there as well.
Yeah, big top one.
Absolutely, definitely. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
I suppose when you look at the top four now and the investment that's been made by the top two, Núñez looks really good, doesn't he?
Yes.
Liverpool, Haaland, we're pretty convinced.
Look at what Spurs have got.
Spurs have got Kane. Arsenal have bought in Jesus.
Exactly.
And they do need that focal point.
Definitely, no doubt about it.
OK.
I think everyone's quite intrigued to see Chelsea this season because there's been a lot of incomings and outgoings at the club. How quickly can they all gel?
I think they'll gel quite quickly. Look, they signed top players. I mean, Koulibaly is an exceptional defender, one of the best 1v1 defenders, I think, in Europe. So he obviously, losing Rudiger is a big blow. The contract situation there, and Christensen was strange that they left on a free. But Raheem, Sterling, Koulibaly, Cucurella, I mean, look, and the young lad they signed from Aston Villa, he's fantastic. He is such a powerhouse. So I think they'll be good. I don't think they'll be good enough to catch Man City and Liverpool, but they've signed very good players. But they still looks like they need a centre forward there, don't they? They need that focal point. Lukaku just didn't work out.
No, it didn't. And I think the fact that he's been able to go on loan, I think that kind of was a lot of talking point off the pitch last year. Kai Havertz went in there, did a really good job. But I think Sterling will be fantastic for Chelsea. I still think he's got a lot to offer. And I think some of the signings they have made, obviously losing Rudiger, as Owen mentioned, is a massive loss. But, I think Chelsea are going to be good. But this is a Chelsea team. If Abramovich was still the owner, he probably wouldn't give Tuchel this much time. Because we know they used to sack managers constantly. And this is Chelsea. They spend a lot of money on players. And therefore, they have to be pushing. We expect Chelsea. I think people expected Chelsea to win the league last year when they brought in Lukaku. That didn't really work out. And they nearly missed out on the top 4 spot last year. So for me, that's not really good enough for Chelsea. But I still think against Everton, and we'll come to Everton obviously in a second, but I think they're going to struggle this year.
Well, with Lukaku going out on loan back to Inter, Sterling coming in, how does he fit into the forward line at Chelsea?
Well, I think he fits perfectly just because he can play multiple positions. You can play that false 9, he can play off the left, where I think he probably feels most comfortable, and he's really good on the right-hand side. So it depends on what he does with all the other assets that he have. But I think Raheem, he's a proven goal scorer at this level, playing multiple positions.
Why do you think he left Man City?
I don't think he was getting consistent game time. And I think obviously with Phil Foden there, they need to get more to Jack Grealish, who plays the same position as Raheem off that left. I think he just wanted a different opportunity. And I think Chelsea is a fabulous opportunity. It is for Raheem and it is for Chelsea. So proven winner, and I think he'll help Chelsea. But, Kai Havertz, Leanne's right. Kai did great as a centre forward. And then you still got Mason Mount, you got Ziyech, and you got Pulisic. You got all these pieces of the puzzle, but they're all kind of attackers, aren't they? They're not, they play one position, they play multiple positions. And I think Tuchel's got a set on who's going to be his attack, who's going to be in that 3.
Yeah, I think Sterling will really do well for Chelsea. And I said earlier, you've got to give Pep credit for allowing him to go to Chelsea. But I don't see him thinking that Chelsea are a threat. But I think Sterling will be brilliant. He can play anywhere. And I almost feel like he's a bit underrated by a lot of people. I think he did really well for Manchester City, as he did for Liverpool. But I think, you know, a lot of people, he seems to go past the radar because they've got Mahrez, they've got Grealish, and he wasn't going to play, really. So I'm happy for him because it's a massive move and he's still got a lot to offer.
So where Chelsea have options, Everton basically have none going forward because, unfortunately for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he picked up a bit of a freak injury, I think Frank Lampard called it, in pre-season. And Rondon is suspended for the first match of the season as well. It's not looking good.
No, and I think they let Richarlison go too easily to Tottenham. I feel like it was almost like he was linked and then he was allowed to go. And he was massive for them last year, especially they were in a relegation battle at the end of the season. And I feel like he's the type of player that he presses from the front, he gets stuck in, and he also can score goals. So, yeah, and I think they can only rely on so much, the fans at Goodison Park. I think Frank Lampard spoke a lot about that last year, needing the fans on their side. But the quality for me at Everton right now just isn't really there. And I worry for them. I really do.
Are you worried for them?
Yeah, I'm worried for Frank, really. Because I think as a young manager, last season must have been so... You know, he did a good job to keep them up with a strong finish, and Goodison was a big part of that. But there are a lot of pieces of the puzzle there that aren't his, that he'll be concerned about. He knows what a proven Premier League winner looks like, and they don't have the talent and the firepower that's necessary to keep up, say, to be in the top 8 where they ideally like to be. So I think for Frank and I think for the Everton fans, it's going to be a tough season. And losing Calvert-Lewin for that long, and then obviously, as Dan mentioned, you know, Richarlison is a huge blow. I think if they don't get off to a good start, you know, I think it could be another long season for Everton and Frank.
Shall we try and be positive, though? Is this the season where Frank Lampard can get the best out of Dele Alli, who we know has got it in him to be great?
It's difficult with Dele Alli because when he's played for England in previous, you know, in the World Cup, he's one of the best players. But at some point, you have to take a look at yourself from a player's perspective because there's only so much a manager can do. I think at Tottenham, you know, they really tried with him. And I think the time is now for Dele Alli because he could end up finding himself playing in the Championship or something like that because his performances just haven't been good enough. In pre-season, yes, they look OK, but he's got a lot that he can offer, and they're going to need him this year. They really are in that 10 role, you know, receiving the ball from deep and getting goals and assists. That's what they're going to need, and they'll be heavily reliant upon him. It's just a matter of if he can really step up, and we know he can. So I don't know. I do worry for Everton, though. I really do.
It seemed like a marriage made in heaven when Dele Alli signed for Everton and Frank Lampard coming in as the new manager at the time when they both came to the club.
Yeah.
Why haven't we seen it yet?
Well, old Dele, yeah, it would have been, you know, but Frank Lampard had one of the greatest work ethics you'll find from a football player ever. And Frank did all that. Frank probably had less natural ability than Dele, but Frank worked at his craft tirelessly. He just wanted to be the best, and he became one of the best goal-scoring midfielder ever. Dele, I don't know what's happened to Dele the last 3 years. I used to love Dele as a player. He played with such a chip on his shoulder. He looked like he wanted to, you know, rip everybody apart. And I love that. That's when he's great. But Dele plays now, it's like he doesn't get out of third gear. And that doesn't work like that. Look, Poch can't be wrong. Mourinho can't be wrong. Frank can't be wrong, and the England manager can't be wrong. There's 4 managers there that said, look, Dele, you're not doing enough. And Leon's right. You've got to look at yourself first. You've got to go out there and put a shift in. When you put a shift in, there's a diamond in there. But we haven't seen it, Jules, for quite a long time. And that, basically, football works simple. What have you done for me lately? And Dele needs to do more because it's in him. And he's going to regret it if it keeps going this way.
It's a song, isn't it? What have you done for me lately? It is a song, isn't it? Somewhere in there. I'm not going to carry on singing. Let's give Everton fans a bit of hope. Still a month left of the transfer window. Who do they need? What positions? Who are they going out for?
I think they need a number of players. I think in a lot, as we saw last year. I mean, Godfrey and their backline, Seamus Coleman was called upon last year, and I think, you know, his time has been spent in the Premier League, been a great servant, but I do think they need to strengthen, definitely in the forward line, 100%. But at this moment in time, like, a lot of teams seem to be leaving it quite late. Because who can they really get through the door at this point that's available? So I'm sure Frank Lampard knows what he's doing. You know, I like Frank as a player. I like him as a manager, but I still think there's a lot of question marks because obviously he did well at Derby, got sacked at Chelsea, and now is the time. I mean, he kept them up last year, probably, I would say, against all odds to a certain degree because it was a matter of the other 3 were just so bad, but Everton were not good. So they're going to have to do a little bit more business, I think, at this point. But Richarlison leaving, for me, is massive.
OK.